Hi, I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today we are going to talk about my top breastfeeding must-haves to help make your breastfeeding journey successful. So breastfeeding is amazing. It is one of the absolute best things you can do for your baby, but it is hard. It is so hard. And I think when you are an expectant mom that they of course encourage you to breastfeed and explain to you why it's really beneficial, but I feel like they don't quite cover enough how difficult it can be. And for some moms, some very lucky moms, I think, you can put the baby on the nipple, they'll latch well, they'll nurse right away, and you're off to the races. But I think for the majority of moms, breastfeeding takes a lot of commitment, a lot of determination. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, it can be painful, and in the end it's wonderful and worth it. And once you kind of get over that learning curve, it's something that isn't that difficult, but when you're first getting started, can be really tough. So I just wanted to share with you the things that I got during my early weeks and months of breastfeeding that made a huge difference for us. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about with breastfeeding is a supportive pillow. Now, we got 2 of these just because they were on like Facebook Marketplace and wherever, these just kind of standard boppy nursing pillows, and this did not work well for me. For one, it is kind of narrow, so I know I'm kind of at the right angle here, but for this to go around my waist, I'm not a little gal, but this just didn't fit super well. And here in the front, if you can see, let me grab a bear, my daughter's. In terms of space for the baby to be on there, it's pretty narrow. So I just found trying to use this, it would shuffle around. It didn't fit quite right. It was just really frustrating. And for my daughter's first week, we had to use a nipple shield, because I have kind of flatter shaped nipples, so it was harder for her to get a latch. So we were using the nipple shield, so I was dealing with that not being quite right and the pillow moving around, and I was so exhausted, and so I was just sitting there, I remember, with all these different pillows around me, and I was just crying, and my husband was in the living room, and he just said, "What can I do? Tell me what I can do to help you." And I just went, "Nothing, there's nothing you can do," because there really wasn't. And so he actually did do something. He went online and he bought me this boppy nursing pillow, and this one, it made all the difference in the world. So I'm going to talk to you about why I really recommend this style of nursing pillow. So first off, as you can see, it's got a big wide opening. It's not super narrow on the end, so it just fits really easy. It's not attached here. They're somewhere in storage, but there are little clips here. So there is a belt that goes around it that then you can keep it snug so it's not going to wiggle around. So right when you get that perfect nursing position, you don't have to worry that the pillow's going to move and then baby's going to lose their latch or something. The other thing that's wonderful about it is wide and it is flat, as you can see. So it has a big platform for your baby to be on, so they're not kind of rolling off, or if you're getting sleepy, you're not worried that I might fall asleep while nursing and then not be holding my baby tight and she's gonna roll off. So it also has, as you can see here, this little lip as well, so baby's not going to roll off. It has a little bit of extra protection. And then when you flip it this way, this is more of just a big puffy pillow, so once your baby gets a better hang of it or gets a little bit bigger, you can transition over to this other side. And this whole thing zips off. Obviously you can put it in the wash. It's phenomenal. I recommend this style nursing pillow for everyone. These other ones, like I showed you before, these are still nice to have when your baby is learning how to sit up and that sort of thing, to kind of prop it around them. And maybe if you are kind of a more petite mom, these might work well for you. But honestly, I still really recommend. It's a little more expensive, but this was just such a big game changer for me and for my daughter. The next thing that is highly recommended, from my perspective anyway, is a haka. So these things, you see them all over the place now. My mom was just telling me today how much she wished that she had something like this when she was nursing. So how this works is this little goofy grenade thing. You squeeze it like this, and you fold back this kind of flange, like this. You put it on your boob, over your nipple, flip the flange, and then you let go of this, and it will suction onto your boob. I don't know if I can get it to do it onto my hand here. Maybe not. Trying to flip it, let go. Kind of. So it suctions on there, and then it will collect milk. So when you're nursing on one side, you are going to be letting down milk on the other side more likely than not, and this will collect the milk. And just with this little puppy alone, because I had quite a bit of milk that came in when I was nursing. And so it wasn't unusual for me to get like 2 ounces from this side while I was nursing on this side. And then I still had more to go on this side. The other thing that is nice about this is it can really help if you're really engorged, which I was early on. So even before my daughter would nurse, I would put this on. It would start draining the milk, getting the milk flowing, and then I wouldn't be quite as engorged so she could nurse. So I didn't have to get out like a pump and pump parts and stuff. It's just this nice little silicone thing here. It also has a suction cup bottom. So when you are done, you know, if you're still nursing, but you're done using the haka, you can just stick it on your end table or wherever, and you're not worried about like the cat knocking it over or something, which the cats will get after this if you aren't paying close attention, if you have cats, that is. Anyway, the other thing I really recommend for a haka is to get the one that has the cap, because that way if, let's say you are nursing and then you've got to get on with your day and other things are going on and you use the haka, you can just take this little cap and snap it on and pop the whole thing in the refrigerator. And then when you have time later, you can transfer this into a breast milk bag for storage. The other thing the haka was really good for me was, like I said before, I have kind of a flatter nipple shape. And so this, when you put it on there, the suction would help to draw out your nipples, or help to draw out my nipples anyway. So for my daughter, you know, having a hard time getting that latch going when I was super engorged and flat, that was just like trying to, you know, get a latch on a brick wall. There was nothing there for her. And so once I used this, it would make me less engorged, help make my nipple come out a little bit more. And so this was the other thing, my top 2. If you're only going to get 2 things that I recommend in this video, I recommend that nursing pillow and the haka are the 2 things that I absolutely think made a huge difference for us being successful in breastfeeding. The next thing I really recommend getting is some reusable nursing pads. So these, I believe, are an organic bamboo. They really aren't that expensive. I think you can get like a 6-pack of them for around $15, and they're kind of soft on this side. And you can get, I think it's the Bamboobies one, where it's a lot thinner and they probably have good absorption. These are a little bit thicker, but even still, you couldn't see these under my shirt unless I was wearing like a super tight fitting shirt, which you really don't want to be doing when you're first breastfeeding anyway. Or if you are, you're around people who don't care. So these are really nice. I do have some of the disposable ones too. I don't like those as much. 1, obviously, because you're throwing them away, it's kind of wasteful. 2, there might be some more kind of organic, natural options out there, but for the most part, I haven't seen those at least readily available. And I also don't like that so it's kind of like a pad that you'd wear in your underwear, where sometimes if you're like moving around a lot or something, that they'll kind of bunch and scrunch and stick to your boobs and get in weird positions and are just uncomfortable. And I don't have the problem with these ones. So I really recommend getting probably, 9 sets of 2 maybe, so that way you have one you can wear every day. Plus, if you need to change out, I didn't find that I really needed to change them throughout the day. They didn't really get soaked or like crusty or anything. I pretty much would go through 1, maybe 2 sets a day at most, or I just would have one that needed to be changed out or something. But other than that, these are really, really nice to have, and just having a couple more than you need, so that way when it's laundry day or something, you can pop them in the wash. So again, these are really, really nice to have. The next thing I really recommend is to have some hot packs. So they have all sorts of hot packs for nursing moms, and I have a few here to show you. So these are just kind of like your standard, I don't remember if these are buckwheat or what these are, but these are just kind of nice, soft little flannel hot packs. I also have ones that you can cool and heat. So this one here is a full circle. It's got a little spot there, obviously, for your nipple. So this is like a little rice situation. So you can put this in the freezer so it's cold, and then it has this little sleeve that it goes into like this. And then this one also has like a little patch on here to help it stick more. And I think these might even have another kind of fabric cover that goes over them if you want. And then this is another style. This one's a Lancino. So this one again has this, I think it's like a fleece cover. And then this one has kind of the gel inserts. So again, it's got the spot for your nipple and then can go, around on your boob. I don't think I use these ones very much. The ones I actually used and liked the most was just these standard little rice packs, just these ones that you'd use for any other kind of sore muscle. But it's nice to have 2 sets, because then you can have one that's just in the freezer at all times if that's what's going to make you feel better. And then you can also have ones that you're ready to pop in the microwave. So I recommend getting two sets of these, or at least having maybe one of each, but I think they usually come in packs of 2. So again, not very expensive, but really helpful for if you have some mastitis issues, or if you want to help get your milk flowing. That heat can really help. And sometimes it just feels really good. After I'd have a long day with my baby and breastfeeding, and I get in the shower at night typically was my, little bit of quiet time. Just standing with the warm water just on your breast can feel so, so nice. And so if you're needing that nice sensation, just the hot packs are a really great way to get that same feeling. The next thing on my list is nursing bras and tanks. Now, I have read that some moms don't do nursing tanks and nursing bras, and I could be wrong, but my guess is that those moms have slightly smaller breasts. Before I had my daughter, I was a solid C cup. Now I'm definitely in the D area, especially with milk. And so I got just a couple of different types of nursing bras. This one is just a cotton one that's kind of a cross back that you can slip on. This one's okay. It's probably not my favorite. It offers more support than the ones that I got. A lot of both tanks and bras was from Amazon because we're kind of on a tight budget. So I got this brand called Hofish, and I think it's something like $20 for a 3-pack of tanks, maybe even, and then bras are even cheaper for a 3-pack. So they're nothing super sturdy, but they're enough that if I'm going into town or something, I will still just wear this type of bra. They have held up okay, but not great. I mean, for the price, they work just fine. I would recommend if you are planning on having multiple children, this was our first daughter, and so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to get or how much I wanted to invest. I probably would invest in a slightly nicer bra. Like I said, maybe one pack of these to have for sleeping in. They're really, really soft and really, really comfortable. But the problem I have with these, and I think is an issue with a lot of nursing bras, is that the inserts in them isn't sewn in. So just kind of like with swimming suits and things, sometimes they've got the little kind of side gap here that you can reach in and take in or out the extra padding, which I'm not going to do because it's in there right, and I don't want to deal with having to get it back in there properly. So the pads come out. So most of these, eventually I would just ditch the pads and throw them away, even though they're nice to have and I prefer to have them in there. So I suppose I probably could just stitch them in myself, but having ones where the pads are already stitched in, I think is definitely well worth it. But so these Hofish ones, again, I can link those below, are cheap and easy, especially for sleeping. They're really nice to have. And the tanks are good too. I think my primary kind of postpartum outfit was during the day, I would change into sweatpants and a nursing tank and a cardigan. And at night, I would change into pajama pants, a new nursing tank, and that would be it. So I think I have a half dozen tanks and maybe 5 or 6 bras for nursing, because you pretty much are living in it then for the next however long that you're nursing. My daughter is 13 months and I'm planning on nursing until she kind of self-weans, so it's nursing bras for who knows how long. And I do have a couple that have underwire. So uncomfortable, and I've worn underwire bras my entire life, except for when I'm, just want something to laze around the house in or something. I don't know if I'll ever go back to underwire, because I did try the other day to put one on and it's just really uncomfortable. And I have heard that underwire can sometimes cause issues with mastitis when you're breastfeeding. So I'm not positive on that, so do a little more research to see what is going to be the best fit for you. Another thing I really recommend is Netflix, or not necessarily Netflix, but some sort of streaming video service that you can watch when you are up nursing. I 100% give a lot of credit to me surviving those first few weeks and even the first month or two of getting through night nursing to the series Jane the Virgin. Because, at first when the sun would go down and it would start to be night, I would just start to get anxious because I knew I was so tired. And usually when the sun goes down, that means, okay, the day is ending. I'm kind of wrapping up. I'm going to go to bed. We're going to start over. And that doesn't happen when you're a new nursing mom. Days and nights, it doesn't matter. Every 2 hours, you are feeding that baby, no matter how tired you are. And you're usually doing it alone at night. So it's just kind of this awful, dreaded feeling where it's like, I'm not going to get any rest. I'm just going to be up more. So it was kind of tough those first few nights. I was just trying to really focus on her and be present. And I was like passing out. So I turned on Netflix and I had started Jane the Virgin, I think a couple years ago, and thought, well, maybe I'll check that out again. And in season 2, she has her own baby. So it was so perfect. And it was just kind of funny, but entertaining. It's kind of, like it's a telenovela. So it's sort of soap opera-y in a way. But it was the perfect show. So that way, when I had to get up with my daughter, I wasn't dreading it. I was thinking, ooh, I'm going to see what happens next on this show. So having some sort of entertainment that's going to keep you engaged and keep you awake when you need to be there for your baby, I think is huge. So whatever that's going to be for you, find a good series or rent a DVD collection from the library or something to help you get through those night nursings if you're getting up. I mean, if you're staying in your bedroom and just nursing in bed, then you don't need that sort of thing. But my husband had to work and the baby was crying, and so I needed to be out of the room so that way he could get rest. And I needed to stay awake to be a good mom for my baby. The other two things you really want to have are snacks and a water bottle. Our hospital gave us these huge, I don't have it, I've hidden it because my husband threatens if he sees it again, he's going to throw it away because he hates it because it's so ugly and clunky. It's like this big with a handle and a straw, this big, huge trucker mug, like insulated trucker mug. It was wonderful. I don't even know how many of those I drank in a day. It was many, many. And so I recommend having that, something with a handle so you can grip it with just one hand, because if you've got your baby here and you're just finding that right position, you don't want to have to be moving it and unscrewing a cap or something. So a handle and a straw, I really recommend. And nice and big and insulated is awesome. So that nice cold water, because you were so thirsty when you're making all that milk and feeding your baby constantly, it's wonderful to have. In addition to water, snacks. I will link below the recipe for a like a lactation type cookie. And I don't know how much it helps with lactation, but it is dense and it has a lot of nutrients and it's really good, especially if you put them in the freezer. It gets kind of a really good fudgy consistency. So like I said, I will link to that. And so I made 2 big pans of those before I even had my daughter and threw them in the freezer. And then at night when you're nursing, if you just need something to give you a little bit extra, I just grab one of them out of the freezer and eat them cold, and they were so good. So some sort of easy to grab snack and water is really key as well, I found, to getting through those long nights for breastfeeding. Another thing that I really recommend is having some good resources. This book, The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding, is from the La Leche League. If there's a local La Leche League chapter in your area, reach out to them. Even before you have your baby, you can start attending meetings, because it's full of moms who are breastfeeding or going to be hopefully breastfeeding their children. There are La Leche League leaders of every group who have to go through a certain amount of education, so they know a lot about breastfeeding and can really help you out. Of course, you can always reach out hopefully to your birth provider, to your hospital or midwife, and they can help you as well. Because breastfeeding, it is tough, and it takes a long time to kind of get the hang of things, because the baby really needs to learn how to latch properly. You need to learn how to hold and support and have your baby right so that you're keeping yourself well physically. And so it's tough. And so having extra resources and extra help is really huge. And so this book as well, any of my friends who have babies now in the future and plan to breastfeed, I'm going to be getting them this, because it is an awesome book and has a really great index, and they cover just about every topic you'd want. So when I had things I was concerned or wondering about, this literally sat on the table next to where I would nurse for the most part for I think the first 6 months of my daughter's life. And if I had a question, I would glance at this first and see if it had the answer. And more often than not, it really did. So really great book. There are also tons, of course, of breastfeeding support groups online on Facebook and on Instagram. I really like the Instagram, I think it's Milky Mama LLC. So they're like a company based out of wherever, but they have like really great funny memes and resources and stuff that they share. So look online for groups like that, can be a really great asset and resource. Another thing too that I want to mention, I don't have it here with me, but is one of those cleaning bags. It's a microwave kind of plastic bag that you can put your pump parts in to disinfect them. So if you are going to have to be breastfeeding away from home, I went back to work full time for about a month before transitioning to working only part-time. And so having that bag with was really handy to sanitize pump parts at work. And I usually would run them through the dishwasher when I got home, but they're just little bags that you put water in, and then whatever pump parts you want to sanitize, and you put it in the microwave and run it for I think 3 minutes or something. And it's supposed to kill all the bacteria that's on there. So they're not super expensive. I think each bag gets like 10 uses. So those are really handy to have as well. Okay, lastly, what do I not have on this list? I don't have any salves or creams or anything like that. Now, it was definitely painful a lot when I was first nursing, and sometimes still now my daughter has a lot of chompers. It can still be painful when you're nursing. But I did have a little bit of cracking on my nipples. I didn't have any bleeding or anything like that. So, take this with a grain of salt. This was kind of my approach and my experience, where I didn't use, lanolin or coconut oil or anything like that, because I knew that basically my nipples were going to have to toughen up. And again, like I said, I didn't have bleeding. I wasn't that extreme. So even if they were sore, pretty much the only treatment they got was kind of the hot packs and the warm water in the shower. Other than that, it's sort of, like when you're working a lot with your hands, they're going to have to get tough. You're going to have to get calluses. They're just going to have to toughen up. So that was kind of my perspective, was that as long as there wasn't, open sores or something that I needed to treat with something, I just kind of toughed it out. I just kind of toughed it out and got through it. And for the most part, we're to the point now where, you know, obviously been nursing for a year. It's no big deal. There, you can send these girls to war. They're going to be fine. So, because they've pretty much been through war. So that again is totally up to you, however you want to handle that. But that's what I kind of heard from some people. And that is the route that I decided to go. And I found that I was pretty successful with it. Okay, so those are the things that were a really big help for me when I was breastfeeding, and we have been successfully breastfeeding, like I said, for over a year and still trucking. So if you have things that you think I should add to this list or something that I don't know about that I should know about for future babies or other moms should know about, please go ahead and comment below. Again, I will have links to the resources I'm talking about here in the description box and a link to the post over on my blog so you can read some more details, because I always forget something when I make these videos. So please click over to the blog and check that out. Otherwise, you can always visit me here for more videos about farming, family, food, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.